Here's Airborne. Quiet. I am as surprised to be here as you are. We were not intended to support the invasion of Italy, but after steamrolling inland, it would look like an easy victory. Our mission is here, Sicily, the village of Adante.
Store shelves have been so completely saturated by World War II themed shooters that it's rather difficult to get excited about having to play through yet another one. And to be quite honest, it's been a bumpy road for the Medal of Honor series, with the quality ranging from excellent to abysmal. With every trick in the book seemingly played out, Electronic Arts did the impossible and managed to create a Medal of Honor game with enough new stuff to warrant a look. With nearly every major and minor battle forever etched in the minds of gamers everywhere, Airborne invites players to fly the not-so-friendly skies as Private First Class Boyd Travers, paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division. After a quick tutorial on how to jump out of a plane and land safely, the player is whisked off to Italy for the first in the series of missions that give a bird's-eye perspective to famous battles like Market Garden, Operation Avalanche, and of course Normandy, because you can't have a World War II game without referencing Normandy. Billed as an open-world shooter, the missions in Airborne begin, naturally enough, with the player parachuting into battle. Missions take place over a large, mostly non-linear space, and as you gently float down, you can either steer poor Private Travers into safe, clearly marked landing zones, or you can throw caution to the wind and hit the ground nearly anywhere else, including right on top of the enemy. Of course, if you botch the landing, it takes a while to gain your composure, leaving you open for attack and, in all likelihood, ending your promising career as a soldier. Once on the ground, there are usually several objectives that the player may tackle in any order. Objectives are generally of the go and blow this thing up variety, but it's really how you get there that counts. While it's entirely possible to drop in close to a heavily guarded objective lone wolf style, the safer route is to stay with your squad and work your way through the mission together. Firefights are a grim business in this game. The days of charging into the fray guns blazing are over. All that'll do is earn you a trip back to your plane for a respawn. Instead, Airborne encourages a more careful approach, whereby players must use cover and, get this, actually aim their weapon for maximum efficiency. While it's certainly possible to shoot from the hip, your chances of hitting anything is between slim and none. Careful shots earn not only more kills, but the ability to upgrade your weapons. For example, upgrades to your Thompson machine gun help stabilize the weapon and increase its magazine size. Garand upgrades improve aim accuracy. No, none of this is particularly realistic, but after mowing down hundreds of enemy soldiers, all thoughts of realism were placed squarely on the back burner. Because many of the objectives can be attempted in multiple ways, much of the scripting and narrative drama that has been a hallmark of the series has been stripped away. In its place is a very effective feeling of attrition. Enemy soldiers will try to hold key positions on the map, and the only way to stop them from spawning into the area is to physically advance on their location and force them to retreat. We'll take this over linear scripted sequences any day of the week. So while there are a lot of new and interesting gameplay ideas in Airborne, not all of them work quite as advertised. Players will quickly discover that despite the promise of being able to parachute into the game from anywhere, there are some pretty big restrictions on where you can and can't land. Many areas are surrounded by invisible walls that gently steer the player in a different direction, and once you're on the ground, most objectives need to be approached from a single direction. Sometimes it's an incredibly long and convoluted slog to get from your best available landing point to your objective. If you happen to die along the way, you'll have to do the whole thing all over again. While the aiming and cover mechanics are excellent, especially when you get used to the more measured pace of the game, enemy AI is ruthlessly efficient. Even with fairly inaccurate weapons, the enemy is able to hit you from ridiculously great distances. It makes the whole thing feel a lot harder than it should be. You often end up dead before you even know what hit you. This means you'll be replaying the same mission over and over again. Fortunately, Airborne encourages and rewards repeated play. Once you've leveled up some of your weapons, things do get a lot easier. Even though parachuting isn't quite as great as we were expecting, you're rewarded for completing special skill drops, like landing on top of a column or inside an abandoned cottage. Sporting the latest trendy fashions in the form of the Unreal Engine, Medal of Honor Airborne looks great. Sure, we've all seen plenty of war-torn European towns, but Airborne really makes an attempt to put on the pretty. Sound design, however, is mixed. After the sheer bombast of the last few Call of Duty games, the gunfire and explosions are a little underwhelming in Airborne. Music cues are generally well handled, kicking in at just the right moment to add a little extra oomph to the battle. But it has to be said that the use of the lone, majestic trumpet, Medal of Honor staple since the beginning, has been so overused that it's almost reached the point of parody. While Medal of Honor Airborne doesn't manage to make the World War II shooter relevant again, it does add some fresh and interesting ideas to the mix. The lack of narrative finesse and the toning down of the scripted events was a good call. It's not quite the open-world shooter that was promised, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.